Welcome to this Frequency Matters podcast. I'm Pat Hindle, and today I'm talking with Hansen Sy, Director of Global Distribution Sales at Gallium Semiconductor, which is now part of Guerilla RF. Welcome, Hansen.
Well, thank you, Patrick.
So you've been with Gallium Semiconductor for a few years, and you wrote a great article on LinkedIn about the company's growth and the final closing. So I really thought it'd be a great idea to go through the history of Gallium Semiconductor and all the exciting things that happened. So how did Gallium Semiconductor get started, and what were some of the key people involved in its founding?
Sure. Gallium Semiconductor really got going around 2019 or 2020. John Ocampo saw a big opportunity in the market for RF GaN components, especially with the trade tensions between the US and China heating up. He talked it over with King Tan, an advisor at his private equity firm, Gas Labs, and also in Bob Pinato, a longtime employee who had retired. They decided to start a company here in Singapore in May 2021. John and King got Paul Chia to manage things here, and Henk Tunen from the Netherlands to handle operations. They also needed to attract talents from the Netherlands because it's known as a RF semiconductor hub. So Hank had a solid background from his time at MACOM. For R&D, they brought in Michael Guione. He had a technical and marketing leadership roles at Renesas, Amplion, MACOM, and NXP. So initially, he was to build the team in France, but then moved all of it to the Netherlands. And Singapore was a natural choice for the headquarters because Kin Tan, who became our first CEO, was from here. Paul Chia and I also worked together before at another GaN startup here. So Singapore already had some GaN technology in place, plus it's a neutral place. Then we quickly set up an office in China too. So from the start, we were pretty much a multinational operation.
And so what business opportunities did you see in the market, and how was being fabless an advantage?
Great questions. John saw a big opportunity to set up a company outside of the USA because of the increasingly tough export restrictions there. Plus, he noticed that our competitors were having a hard time developing high-performance RF products. He believed we could build a strong team to compete and potentially grow to 100 million in revenue within 5 years, including through acquisitions. Being fabulous gave us a huge advantage. It allowed us to leverage the strengths of various GaN fabs around the world. As you know, different fabs excel in different areas. Some have better technology, others offer higher quality, lower costs, or faster production times. This flexibility let us choose the best fab for each specific need or project. On top of that, being fabulous means we're asset light. We don't have as many physical assets on our balance sheet, which keeps our fixed costs lower and gives us more financial flexibility. It's a pretty smart way to operate, especially in a rapidly changing market.
Yeah, having a fab is very capital intensive, and you got to keep it high utilization or it's not good. So what were your primary markets and customers when you first started?
Well, initially, our main focus was on the micro and macro base stations for 5G, especially targeting the China market. But when the development cycle took longer than we expected, we pivoted to serve the underserved tier 2 customers in aerospace and defense. We realized we could make products faster using our power bar dies, which we already have. And we also sold these power bar dies to some customers who did their own packaging or created their own chip and wire modules. One of our first customers was a big Japanese semiconductor company, which really boosted our confidence in our initial products and R&D team. We decided to hold off on approaching tier 1 telecom customers at first because we knew how demanding they could be. Instead, we wanted to gather more feedback from our tier 2 customers to further enhance our product performance.
Yeah, the qualification process for tier 1 telecom is tough and it's long. Can you tell us how the company enhanced its manufacturing capabilities by partnering with ATEC?
Of course. Initially, because we needed only small volumes for our engineering samples, we had to find an OSAT that's willing to accommodate our smaller orders. And they had this figured out even before the founding of the company. So partnering with ATEC was a game changer for us. It allowed us to produce these engineering samples efficiently, even though there were some challenges along the way. For example, not many OSATs offer air cavity plastics, which are trickier to work with. But with our captive line at ATEC, we could build various products faster using this type of packaging and react to problems on the line easier. ATEC's expertise and knowledge were crucial in successfully turning around these products. Their support helped us speed up our development and enhance our manufacturing capabilities significantly. We were producing about 2 to 3 products per month, and by the time we closed, we had about 64 products in total.
Wow, that was a lot in a short amount of time, so impressive. So what are some of your accomplishments and the products that were developed?
Well, our initial products were wideband power amplifiers with frequencies ranging from DC to 12 gigahertz and power levels of 10 watts to 200 watts. This really formed the foundation of our high power amplifiers for 5G and other applications. We also developed a full lineup with pre-drivers and drivers. Next, we created band L, S, C, and X band transistors for pulse radar applications. One of our major breakthroughs was GaN RF power amplifiers for ISM applications in the 2.45 gigahertz frequency range. This achieved about 76% drain efficiency, which was really best in class. And this got us noticed by our bigger competitors. Right before shutdown, we were also developing front-end modules for radars, an area with less competition. This accomplishment showed our capability and innovation in the market.
And so can you tell us about John Ocampo? He's a real famous person in the industry. And since his story is so interesting, I thought it'd be great to go over that.
Absolutely. I only spoke to John a couple of times, mostly at shows like European Microwave and IMS. He would chat with us, appreciate our work, and ask a few questions about our products. He was very friendly and approachable. I remember asking him about how he started Serenza, his first startup. He said, what I did back then, you cannot do today as you need a huge capital. He started with about 30,000 from personal savings, loans, and credit cards. He started as a design engineer, working on mixed signal components for a Japanese customer. When the manufacturing plant in the Philippines that was producing for that Japanese company was going under, he saw a chance to bail them out with that money, that 30,000. In just 2 years, he said he had around $5 million in orders. One time, John asked me what I thought about our startup going against the big boys. I said, we definitely can compete as our products showed good performance, maybe on par, if not better than the competition. He responded, good, I know them. I know that what we're up against, we can beat them. So he always seemed to carefully evaluate each move, studying how to outmaneuver the competition or compete alongside them. After his passing, I had a chance to speak with his wife, Susan. She mentioned that John was very generous to his employees, which she believes was a key to his success. Everything seemed to return to him many times over, she said. It was a recurring theme in the many companies he acquired and sold over the years. So that's John.
So what challenges did you face in the market, and how did that lead to the company closing?
Well, first of all, Gas Labs, John Ocampo's investment company, decided to close the company after his passing. It was surprising because I believe we were at the inflection point of the hockey stick curve, where we were poised to achieve more design wins. Given another year or two, we would have reached the break-even point, but that timeline was too long for them. They didn't believe we could achieve that, and we did struggle with our 5G power amplifiers, which took a lot of iterations. While our competitors had power amplifier modules for micro base stations, we only had discrete components. But it also has its own advantages. For macro base stations, we were almost there, but it took a lot of iterations too. And the competition got there much earlier, which is really challenging for a newcomer. Also, the designing cycle for our initial products took longer than expected. However, our ISM products like the 2.45 gigahertz amplifier, they were well received, and we were getting sample requests here and there, which was very encouraging. For the L, S, C, and X band power amplifiers, we knew that the design in cycles would be much longer. We also had potential in serving areas where competitors were failing, like the 5G higher bands, such as 4.5 to 4.9 gigahertz. Internally, we were showing good performance. but ultimately the revenue wasn't enough for the investment company, and we were burning cash more and more. So they decided to divest their stake in the company. And of course, we lost our champion with John's passing.
And so can you tell us about the acquisition of the IP and products by Guerilla RF, and what does that mean for the company going forward?
Absolutely. Guerilla RF acquired all of our IPs and products, which gives them a wide array of product line of GON RF technology. This acquisition makes them much more competitive in the RF industry. And if they play their cards right, they could leapfrog in the RF GaN market. This means they can now benefit from our product development efforts over the past 2-3 years and the challenges we faced in achieving product to market fit. They also inherit the customers who believed in us, which is a big plus. However, they may face challenges in continuing product development without the original team. Every team goes through a maturation process, and we were just reaching the phase where we could resolve differences and evolve into a more cohesive, stronger unit. But overall, it's a great buy for Guerilla RF, and I hope they will do well with it.
Yeah, there's been a lot of acquisitions, and it's nice to see that there is some startups kind of filling the holes where there's smaller volumes that the big guys don't always want to go after. So it's good to see. So what's up next for you?
Well, I might follow in John's footsteps and start up a company when the right opportunity presents itself, even if it's challenging. It could very well be in GaN technology. But for now, I'm representing ATEC. I know them very well. They provide excellent OSAT and EMS services, especially for high mix, low volume RF and automotive products. So they've also been really successful in taking advantage of the China Plus One policy. So I'm excited to see where this journey takes me.
Excellent. Well, let me know when you get something started. I'd love to hear about it.
Sure, Patrick.
Well, thanks, Hansen, for telling us the story of Gallium Semiconductor. It was great to hear the full story from someone who experienced it firsthand. To our audience, you can find more podcasts at podcast.microwavejournal.com. Thanks for listening.